제가 이 채널명을 줄라이 뉴비라고 지었는데 참 잘한 것 같아요. 원래부터 게임을 그렇게 잘하는 사람이 아니라서. 자, 서둘러서 위로 올라가 보도록 하겠습니다. 100만 안 걸리면 참 좋겠네요. 오, 계란, 명판. 이렇게 피하면서 이제 끝까지 왔네요. 이렇게. 어이구, 소리 마세요. 미치겠어요. 설마. 자, 마지막인데 이제 내려가려. 렉이 좀 먹혀요. 여기서. 드디어 됐습니다. 아이고.
Turn this fool to gold.
왜죠? 나중에 말하는 게 좋겠다고? 여기까지 왔는데? 아마도 제 생각에는 루프를 한 번 더 돌아야 될 것 같아요. 자, 올라오기도 합시다. 미니멀리스트에 일단
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
아마도 루프를 한 번 더 돌아야 되는 것 같으니까 한 번 더 돌려봅시다. 빨리 오세요. 자, 이제 두 번째 루프가 됐는데요. 첫 번째 루프로 명패를 다 뽑아도 아까 그 하데스가 성형사를 쓰라고 하니까 뭐.
Salve, friend. Oh. Yulia. Poor virgin. All right, let me... What? I'll go.
자, 우리는 그냥 가는 길 가면 됩니다.
The 49 melodies fetch again.
물표시가 이제 대승전 근처가 아니라 밑으로 내려온 거 보면은 제대로 잘 하고 있다는 뜻이거든요. 자, 명패가 다 꼽혀져 있습니다. 그럼 이제 대승전으로 들어가야 될 것 같아요. 자.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal, ever since your arrival. You're unlike the others, aren't you? And what is more, you carry a weapon that was never intended for mortals to wield, and you do it so gracefully. But there will be time for your reckoning later. First, as a reward for undoing the... My story is many thousands of years long. It is a matter of perspective. God is a label I was given by you mortals, not one I gave myself. Your ancestors revered me because, but despite all that, this is my beloved. Like me, she has been known by many names. Ereshkigal to the Sumerians, Isis to the Egyptians, Persephone to the Greeks, and, or perhaps you might know her. Your gaze lingers too long. That is my servant. You would have met by the river, though she wears many faces and goes by many names. Kumutubal to the Sumerians, Kirti to the Egyptians, Charon to the Greeks, and Charon to the Romans. Her role is to ferry souls between the mortal world and this one, and to make their transition as seamless as possible. For that, she earned herself the infamous, if erroneous, moniker, the Ferry. We will talk more later. For now, ask your questions. My kin and I all adopted this form long ago, so that we might better understand and communicate with your kind. In time, we grew fond of the sensory delights it affords, desire, joy, ecstasy, even rage and sorrow, while an acquired taste can be addictive. No. Long ago I swore to Persephone that I would remain in this form for as long as we remained among your kind. I must honor that. As you wish. It has come to be known simply as the Underworld. That is a long... You see, long ago my kin and I we discovered your planet, and witnessed your kind evolving from pride. You all but destroyed yourselves. Your too short life. Yet Proserpina saw raw potential and persuaded the rest of us it would be squandered. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. For a time you flourished, but soon you were too many for us to. We had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion, and soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance. My kin had seen enough and gave up on your kind, condemning you as barbaric and capable. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon. She made an extraordinary sacrifice. And so she began her inescapable. Horrified, I acted swiftly. And then I pleaded with Proserpina's father, who the Romans called Jupiter. It was and is my hope, but he refused. Humans were unworthy of ascension to Elysium. But seeing that I was aggrieved, he proposed a wager. If even one human city could prove itself capable of, then Proserpina, my part would be to and so my reward has been to languish here, so that I might take her with me to Elysium. And here I am. There were also gods, our leader Jupiter, as well as Neptune, and of course, there were also gods, and of course, as the first wave of your kind arrived, I had them build the entrance as a vertical shaft. I watched wave after wave of Sumerians, of course, believing themselves to be the superior civilization. The Egyptians promptly built. After another 1,000 years, the Greeks began to arrive. They built upon the underworlds of their predecessors to ensure the wager was fair. To this end, I had my servant distribute 1,000 tokens. Whoever died while in possession of one of them would be located by my servant and ferried to this place. As the tokens were discovered, they were traded, smelted, and fashioned into trinkets, and eventually, later when they spread to Greece, they would come to be known as Charon's obol, or as coins. Some placed coins in the mouths of their dead, hoping. In fact, almost all of the tokens. Your kind would have squandered the lot. It is a regrettable story. One of the first men who came to this place was a king of Sumer and a troublemaker. To be rid of him, I returned him to his people on the condition that my servant erased his memories of this place. But the erasure did not take completely, and he told stories of this place as if describing memories of a dream. His tales were committed to write. Later, the Egyptians would adapt Sumer's story. Their Book of the Dead and Book of Gates bore. Then, when the Greeks began to arrive, a warrior named Heracles, 2 kings named, they each told embellished tales of this place. And so, from Sumer to Egypt, Greece to Rome, your kind has always told each other stories. Of course. That is merely the name your people have given to it, but yes, it is my doing. I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability to determine right from wrong on one's own. No attempt to lay out rules like your... This should come as no surprise to you, since the Egyptians made a rudimentary. The Greeks refined it with, avoid doing what you would blame. The Roman Stoics added, treat your inferior as you would. Even the so-called cultists hiding among you. It is the simplest of concepts, and each one of you is born with the fact, yet none of the peoples who express this rule. For you, perhaps. Do you plan to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give me an example? The midwife in the palace, yes. How is that inconsistent with the rule? The rule is do unto others, meaning other people. Those statues are something else now. Bloodless shadows, mere shapes of their former selves. They are forsaken. What happens to them is no concern of mine. Applying this rule always requires us to interpret the meaning of the words. A literal interpretation helps to minimize the ambiguities of your primitive language. Supposing you're right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want? Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked? Do you honestly think you could do better? I should strike you down for that. Now, did you have any other questions before your reckoning? Very well. Good. Then now it is time for your reckoning. Only, it seems, something is wrong. It has long been within my power to see to the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared in this city. How is this possible? Charon, where did you find this one?
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here? If that is true, then I sense the intervention of someone powerful.
How did you come to be in this time, mortal? Who brought you here?
We cannot know.
I do not know. My kin departed long ago, and Proserpine has slumbered for 3,000 years. Tread lightly, mortal. Enough of this. It seems I will need to put your reckoning on hold for now. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you seek? Ha 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 ha. Your hubris is amusing. If you anger me, always so. How so? And be specific. You have made a grave allegation, and I expect you to back it up. He is a volatile and confused fellow, that one. His cruel... That is a very... Every one of those people, they fail. But I'm a god. Let me ask you this. Do you ensure that... Of course not. Because that would be absurd. Just as it would be absurd for me to... Where to begin? In which time? Because that is the source of our power over you. You could say that. My kin have no superiors. That is true. Go on. Make your point, mortal. Let me ponder that for a moment. If you are right, then it would follow. How can I accept your argument? Wait. You have spoken eloquently, but that would mean Jupiter, Proserpina's father, who... A mistake? But he is the best and greatest of us. Your words sting me, mortal. Perhaps it is what I deserve. As difficult as this is to admit, I have suspected as much for a long time now. I've been so fixated on taking my beloved to Elise. In time, I began to despise your kind for making her believe that you could... But my rage was not born of malice. Quite the... Who knew this empathy of yours? This has gone on too. But know this. If I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she... Because doing so would violate the rules of my sacred agreement with Jupiter, and you would receive a hostile reception. The best I can do is return you to... I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. Once this exodus begins, what will become of you is difficult. Now, farewell, mortal.
Oh. Hi there. Well, here I am. Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people to set. Fortunately for us, the last person in here was apparently there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god, then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious, and the doors just opened up to her. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook, and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of... What became of him? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had what? Anyway, I think I found a way... I'm gonna pause here for a moment and make sure nobody else is overlord. You go on ahead.
You're back! But you're alone. Ah, what a relief. Thank you so much. Why don't you tell me what you discovered? Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions. You can just call me Charon, if you like. I am sorry I was not completely honest with you when we first met. I do not enjoy deceiving people. Believe me, I do not. But I have learned, from 5,000 years that most people find comfort in familiarity, in gradual change, and coming to see the truth in their own time. That you died, of course. My role, as the servant of the god of the underworld. Usually, most souls would rather not remember. Ask yourself honestly. As you wish. You were murdered. You were falsely accused of a terrible crime. On your final night, you were offered sanctuary in the cottage of a stranger who gave you food and money, including, by accident, a coin of ancient origin. Unfortunately, you were apprehended and attacked by authorities. Your host leapt to your aid. You both fought bravely. There was nothing you or he died instantly at the scene. That man's name was Al Worth. You were each in possession of a sacred coin, called Charon's Opal by some. It means there is nobody else to ferry here. Perhaps you have heard the tales of, well, those stories contained a long time ago. My orders were simple. It means there is... I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. that you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now. Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You would there was a tablet describing an oracle who confronted a god.
Sounds like quite a story. You two look exhausted.
Sounds good to me.
And you? Are you
Hey, you made it. I read about your trial in the news. Congratulations on your acquittal. Still, I'm sorry you had to go through all that. After everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to... Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the...
You're finally here. Remember me? It's a crazy story. After you disappeared, Karen appeared and told us even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours. Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks. Oh, I used Karen's gift to buy a farm in Umbria. Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Dooley, of course. I know! I can't believe my luck either. But we're engaged and living together. We're planning to get married next spring. If you're gonna... Of course, there's a whole museum full of people waiting for a chance to thank you.
Oh, hello.
You're here. It's lovely to finally meet you. Galerius told me all about you. So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of... I'm just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little... Galerius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside with room for a large family. It feels like the world has just opened up for us. There's so much to learn and so many more possibilities for our children than we ever imagined. We're just so thankful for what you did for... Oh, it's sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. See you at the wedding, I hope.
Hello. I'm Dooley. Galerius said you're very nice. I live at Galerius and... Bye-bye.
You're the Oracle, right? Oh, of course, I'm sorry. And I never got a chance to thank you.
Hi there.
For telling Galerius how to... And of course, getting me. Oh, I barely recognize myself. I'm living in a house share in London with my wonderful girlfriend. And I'm studying English at university. Eventually, I want to travel the world and write about it. Did you know there are entire continents, and you can travel almost anywhere in an air... Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I have noticed people from your time have no idea. Last I heard, Malleolus kept insisting he was the last rightful ruler of the Roman Empire, and wound up being committed to a psychiatric hospital. As for Claudia, she was... After the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me, I can't help feeling a sense of... Thank you. Ugh, someone told me she was boasting about getting... Even in your time, life still isn't fair. Apparently he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class one-way ticket to join him in some exotic place called... What was it? Nigeria? Well, you are the Oracle. Huh. I feel better. You too. If you're ever in London, let me know. We can go... I hope.
You are here. It's nice to finally meet you. Lucy is fine. I'm making an effort to blend in, as you can see. If the world knew we died 2,000 years ago and were suddenly brought back to life 12 months ago, then speaking of which, I wanted to say thank you in person. I'm studying to get into medical school. When it ended, I realized I missed it. You too. Don't be a stranger.
Hey.
Hi there, I'm Horatius. I understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance at life. I'm living up north and studying in the military academy in Modena. The world's changed a lot. Still, I have to keep challenging myself to let go of all the ones who pioneered up. See you at drinks later.
I take it you're the Oracle. Thanks for coming. Actually, I changed my name to Cynthia. I'm not sure if you heard, but after you drove Pluto off, she knew right away what none of us had figured out about that psychopath. But he's been dealt with. He's anything I want. I'm a woman. Of course, I mostly just stay in my villa and have my servant elect. He's still there, all alone. The last golden statue in the underworld. Trapped in a metal eternal torment. You too. See you.
Hello.
Greetings. You must be the legendary Oracle. It is a sin. I am told we have you to thank for... I am reacquainting myself with Greece. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new... I hope you will join me there and regale me with this... You too, my friend.
You're the one we've been waiting for. I wanted to say thanks for sending Galerius to save my life. I don't know how you knew, but I would have been crushed by that shrine for sure. I'm just so happy to be here. Well, it's not like I have to work with all this. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes. Thank you. You too.
I take it you're the Oracle everybody's talking. We have. I'm sorry, I never thought I'd leave that cave. And it seems I have your catabasis to... I'm working as a consultant to the Faculty of Classics at Cambridge. Not that I need the money, but... My sincere thanks once again.
Oh, hello. It's lovely to meet you. I'm thankful that you're here. I was sure the person who... But thank you for coming. I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber. Not far from my old place. After you sent Galerius to persuade Ulpius not to take his own life, I just want to spend the rest of my life helping people. Thank you. And you.
Good evening. Greetings. Thank you for your kind words, and I'm recovering. Octavia was kind enough to let me stay with her for a while. And you. Farewell, friend.
Some soiree, innit? Oh, hello at last. You must be the Oracle I've heard so much about. Listen, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for what you did. If it wasn't for you, whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man. Such acerbic wit. I love it. I took the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in the stock market. In fact, I was hoping to ask your advice. I can't decide between fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling and arms. Oh, don't be like that. You can tell your old pal Daisy. Oh, of course, yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. I'll go up. Of course, don't let me keep you.
It is an honor to... You know my name. Oh, of course. I too would like to offer. For a time, I returned to Alexandria. Instead, I have decided to follow the custom of... I spent the first 25 years of my life. Indeed. Thank you.
Hello there. Oh, I go by Gabriella now. I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name. You didn't hear? My adoptive father, Sentius, locked me up in the upper cistern to stop me from escaping. After you drove Pluto off, Proserpina came and released me, and that monster got... Don't worry, nobody did. I'm living with Ulpius on a little vineyard in Umbria. It's even more wonderful than I'm so grateful to you for making sure he's still with... You can try some of our very own... Thanks. You too.
It's nice to finally put a face to the name. I'm Ulpius. I understand I have you the way you just showed up out of the blue. I'm living with Gabriella in Umbria. We fight every day. I look at her and this, so we're living each day to the fullest. Sitting together on our terrace with a glass of our wine. And I couldn't be happier. Thank you. You too.
Nice to meet you. I go by Rufus now, for what you did. Sorry, I'm no good. I live with Virgil in Rotterdam, not far from where he grew up. It's very... haven't decided. You too.
It's so nice to finally meet you. I wanted to thank you personally for getting us out of there, and for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, but once you get past that, he's a lovely fellow. I'm studying to be an architect again, and living with Rufus in our beautiful flat in Rotterdam. Just down the river from Nijmegen. Of course, it's improved immensely since I was there last. You natives of the... You too, as Rufus said in his own laconic way.
Evening.
There you are. Now there's one...
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time. Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Proserpina, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, and now a regular mortal. I wanted to meet you in person, and thank you for freeing all these people, and me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention. Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each golden statue, I was able to control their tongues and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected. I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still retain my gifts as the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. After witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath. I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way. Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind. She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will, one day. And you. although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city? Good, because they remember you. Well done, my friend. Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to achieving what you did. Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus, and Aeneas, take me proud.